Hello, welcome to another episode of The Rudy Root. In this video, I'm talking to you about the modular synthesizer format known as the 5U, the MU or Moog unit, or the Dotcom from synthesizer.com. Also, I'm going to talk to you about this fascinating controller from synthesizer.com called the Q182 Ribbon controller. It has a keyboard drawing on it. No dogs today? Dogs. I'm gonna make the patch for the solo. The solo which gonna be controlled by the Q182, the ribbon controller from synthesizer.com. Okay, first we're gonna make the patch audio side, which would be called the signal. Okay, in this patch I'm gonna need 2 oscillator, 1 ladder filter, a fixed filter bank, a phaser, and a VCA. And the output is on the granular audio processor from FX. It's a version of the Clouds from Mutable Instrument. Okay, let's start the patch. I'm gonna only use the sawtooth from this oscillator here to the mixer. Okay, oscillator 1 into input mixer 1. Oscillator 2 into input mixer 2. This mixer is going to go inside to the ladder filter. Take that ladder filter output to the signal input of the VCA here, the Q108. It's a VCA. From the VCA amplifier, the Q108, plug into the fixed filter bank. This is the Q127. This output here is going to go into the phaser, Deep Equinox. It's a VC phaser from Oakley system. And the output of the phaser into just the left of the granular audio processor. Clouds. Let's see if we have a sound. Okay, the sound part is done. Now the control section. I want to be able to control this patch with the ribbon controller. It's a bit tricky at first. Well, I got it down. This is the output here for the pitch. It's the wherever you put your fingers. This is gonna generate voltage. Higher voltage to lower voltage, and it outputs here. I put it at 5 volts. I could output the control interface straight inside the oscillator, but I want this to be quantized. Like, it's a little trick, because if you fall between 2 notes, it's kind of off tune. So I want the notes on the controller to be quantized. But then I hit a problem. If I put the controller interface straight into the quantizer, I would not have any voltage variation below the C, the middle C here. Because Roger told me over there it generates a negative voltage. And the quantizer doesn't understand negative voltage. So he says, what you need, my friend, is a Q125, a signal processor, which will offset the voltage and make it possible to quantize the whole ribbon. Output from here to this. This output here is going to go into this quantizer. For now, I put it only in semitones. And then I take the output of this quantizer and put it into a slew limiter. I put the quantizer output into the slew limiter because I still want some glissando between the notes, but not I didn't want it to be off key all the time. So it's quantized, but it also will portamento between notes. But there will be a trick because I put a switch. I can choose to have it or not with the switch on the controller, toggling switch here. So the output of the slew limiter, I'm gonna have to mult it because I want to control the two oscillators. So one will go in there, a cable like this from the mult. Voila. Now if I put some sound. Now the slew limiter is on all the time now. I need to put a little switch. So if I take this switch, you can see the light going on. Should stop it until I decide to activate it. Let's hear. You can hear it's quantized. If I activate the slew limiter, you're gonna hear the glissando between the notes. Okay, now we have the pitch control over the oscillator. How about we have some dynamic? With the ribbon controller, if I press very hard, I can actually open up the VCA and as well the VCF. So let's do this. Okay, now I want to be able to control the volume with the pressure on the Q182. And I want also, when I press, to open up the filter as well. I'm gonna take this output, this is the output of the pressure, and mult it, because I want to control the ladder filter and the amplifier. Okay, one cable for the amplifier and one for the filter. Now let's see. This one will go into the filter, the CV control of the filter. And this cable here is going to go into the control for the volume. Now, if I take the ribbon controller and I press, I'm gonna turn down the filter so we can actually hear. So I press softly, you hear the sound that's kind of dull, dull, dull. And the more I press, the louder it gets and the clearer, the brighter the sound is, because it is going through a transistor ladder filter, a low pass filter, on a 24 dB slope. How about also when I press, the harder I press, the auto gate will engage and trigger a LFO++, a Q167. See, every time the light goes on here, it's gonna put a gate inside the LFO and trigger the LFO to make the vibrato. Switch. We need the auto gate. So every time I press at a certain level of pressure on the controller, it will invoke a gate. So this goes into the gate of the LFO++. The LFO++ will now have to be multed to control the two oscillator. Output of the LFO into a mult. So I can use smaller cables. Always good to use as small cable as possible, because I don't want a crazy modulation. I'm putting it into the linear frequency input of the oscillator I just want a subtle vibrato, vibrato, vibrato. So let's see if it works. Of course, my modules were already set to the right values. The vibrato is going kind of fast. So if I press the note and harder, vibrato. I'm gonna add some delay and reverb on the granular audio processor, and the magic will happen.